This is my buddy Finn, and in this video, this is Finn's Roadmap to Success video, actually. She is a lover. Yes, she wants to, you want to lick my face. I'd rather you don't lick my lips, though. All right, so basically, she took our puppy classes, but our guardian's a little bit rusty on some of the stuff we went over. So one of the things we'd like to do is get our newest puppy class instructor, Jacob, out over here to work on the relaxation protocol, as well as teach her, work on her sit, up, down, and stand. She picked up hand targeting again really well, but there's probably some other basic cues like recall and things like that, go to the dog bed, and that he can cover as well as doing the relaxation protocol. You want to get down? Okay. And so while we're talking about that, let's talk about dog consent. Sit. So if I reach over her, see how she ducked her head and she leaned and moved away? That's her way of saying, I don't want you to pet me. So what we like to do instead, she engaged. So because I offered my hand, I stopped. She's the one that said, yes, I'd like you to pet me. So I reach under, and I'm reaching underneath and not reaching over. And she's comfortable now, so she can do it. But a lot of us, we reach and we pet a dog over the head, and they cower or look away. And she was showing a little bit of that. It's not that we're doing anything maliciously bad, but just we don't like people putting their hands over our head. So a good thing to do is always check with the dog to make sure that it wants your attention by holding your hand in front. If they engage or don't move away, then you can go like this. But at any point, she can turn her head and back away, and we need to listen and respect that. That helps her feel more confident and relaxed in our presence. We talked about, we went over our remedial on marker words. Her marker word is nice. By the time the guardians see this, they should have already primed the marker word, and I also gave you a clicker. So remember, after tonight, after she's going to sleep after I leave, when she wakes up, walk around the house and just say the marker word, give her the treat. Remember, she doesn't have to do anything for this loading exercise. You say the marker word or click and give her the treat. Don't make her sit or don't delay. You only have 2 seconds to put her in her mouth. Make sure you try to avoid saying the marker word or clicking unless you're going to be doing it for when she does something you want, and it's for the action, and then it's always followed by a reward, either petting or a treat. Let me see. So we also went over a hand targeting exercise. Message me if you forget how to do that, but practice that. You want to get to the point where she can come from like 15 feet away and boop, and she comes and touches her nose to your hand. And remember, always chop with an empty hand. We also went over using the positive interrupter. She's chewed on the wood in a lot of places in the house, but one of the things I noticed is there were almost no dog toys whatsoever. They're all in her long-term confinement area. If you have a puppy, anywhere the puppy hangs out, you need at least 12 toys of different shapes, sizes, and different types of toys, so that she has good options. And don't just throw them all down. So order 30 or 40 toys, and then go to each room, give her one, play tug of war, play with it a little bit on the floor, get her answer, like play tug of war, then let her have it. Then an hour later, come back, go to the next room and do another toy. So it'll take a couple of days before all the toys manifest. And then when you have a good 12 to 15 toys in the 3 areas in the house, every week, go to one of those areas, pick one of the toys up, go to a closet or a drawer, put it in there, grab one from the end of the drawer and put it back in circulation. And then keep a couple of toys in reserve so that you have some in case of emergency or need something. This is a lick mat, and we gave this to her with peanut butter. You can still see a little bit of residual peanut butter. Surprised it didn't stick on the floor. Usually these things stick like crazy. You might have to get a little bit wet. But basically, licking releases endorphins, same thing as chewing. And so smearing peanut butter on here when guests arrive. So if guests arrive, we take her for a play date maybe an hour before, take her for a walk. She comes back, she has 10 minutes to recover. We have this thing loaded up with peanut butter. The guests come to the door, we throw that sucker down, and then she runs up the door. Hey, how you doing? There's a peanut butter thing over there. I'm going to go over there, but I'm going to jump up on you later. And then she goes and she's preoccupied by licking that, and she's practicing not jumping up on them. She's very excited. She loves new people, but she doesn't quite know how to interact with them yet. It's one of the lessons we went over today. We'll talk about here in a sec. So getting her an assortment of toys will really help. Lick mat with peanut butter will really help. The Kong, you can continue doing that as well. Also, go to the Green Spot and get you can not just get necessarily bully sticks. You can also get kneecaps, cow's ears, tracheas, duck feet, chicken heads. There's all sorts of stuff at the Green Spot and really high-end stores that are good things for her to chew on, and that gives her the ability to do that instead of pestering your guest or jumping up or whatever the case may be. We also went over, so the positive interrupter would be either or beep, 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 beep. And when she looks at us, then we're going to do hand targeting. Or we're going to do something to get her to come over away from whatever she was doing. Remember, if she's chewing at somebody, say her name, or say no, we're making that, oh, that's a great way to get their attention. If I want my human's attention, just chew this wood. So instead, we say beep, beep, beep. She looks at us, then we throw our hand down, and then she comes over to us. We called her away from it, then we give her something better to do. Otherwise, she'll go right back to doing it. Probably needs some little exercise. A lot of chewing is due to boredom. So speaking of exercise, sniff walks. Playing tug of war with toys, playing fetch are all great ways to burn energy. For physical exercise, there's also mental stimulation. I showed you how to throw the treats, cookie in the corner. If you forget how to do that one, message me up we have a link for that. But eventually, at first we were just hunt and then we threw the treats, but eventually when she's out on a walk, we can hide a treat here, one over there, one over there, one over there. And when she comes to the door, we say, hunt! And she's like, oh my God, there's treats. And she's using her nose, which drains a lot of energy. Something I forgot to mention is feeding out of a snuffle mat. It's a floor mat that has like tassels. If you put the kibble on it, she's got to use her nose to find the kibble, move the tassel, lick it up, and repeat that 200 to 400 times. That's like an extra walk. So you feed her 2 or 3 times a day with a snuffle mat, you're squeezing in a couple of walks. It's kind of like chopping up the vegetables for your kids so they don't know they're there. Let me see, we have also scent games. Google scent games. There's a lot of options out there. You don't have to use dead animals for it. You can also get an Omega Paw Tricky Trainer treat ball. It's they're balls and puzzles that roll around. She's got to roll it just right to get a couple pieces of kibble to come out. Again, mental stimulation. Training is also a great way to burn energy. Make sure training sessions are 1 to 2 minutes and that you end on a positive. So last part of the training was a success, so she wants to do that again. Let me see. We also talked about importance of rules and structure. She doesn't have any rules, and so it's hard for her to practice any self-restraint because rules help us practice. I want to run out the door, but I don't have any concept of that because I don't wait for anything. So in class, we showed you that bucket game. So do the bucket game for feeding, and then eventually you can transition to using the snuffle mat. But the idea is to get her to sit quietly while we lower that bowl to the floor. Right now she's free-fed, so it might take a couple of days for her to get into a pattern of that. So what I would do is put the food down, invite her over, and if she won't come over, and after a minute, I pick up the bowl, dump it empty, put the empty bowl back down. And if she comes over and sniffs it and walks away, as soon as she walks about 3 feet away, I pick it up, dump it empty, put the bowl back down. And so we're not saying vindictively, but we're saying as soon as you leave, the food goes away, because that's the way it would happen for her in the wild. If she goes out and kills something and eats a bite and then comes back, I'm going to take a nap or walk around the block. When she comes back, the raccoon's going to have eaten her meal. So that's very normal for dogs, and it's a great motivator for them to eat when we want to eat, especially if they're going on medication or other things later in life. And in this case, it'll also help greatly because we're having problems with pooping. So we need to know when that poop is going to come. So we're feeding on a consistent basis. I'd like you guys to keep a journal. Every time she poops, write down what time you feed her and what time she poops. And after a while, you can identify what that window is, and you can adjust her feeding schedule if you need the poop to come earlier or later, and then you know when to look for it, so you're not just waiting around all day. The video above will cover potty training, so I'm not really going to talk about that one, but please follow that stuff and make sure you do that for a week for that one. And then after a week, then we're going to leave that door closed. She goes in there, you're going to pick her up, take her outside, and have those high value, the Tricky Trainer chicken liver or whatever it is, that really high value treat she only gets for peeing or pooping outside. And try to avoid saying the word overexcited. Let me see, what else did we talk about? We talked about petting with a purpose and passive training. Petting with a purpose and passive training are kind of a ways of teaching the dog to say please or thank you. These are lessons that we teach children to be polite and to have social graces. We don't teach dogs to do these, and we wonder why dogs jump up on us or bark at us, paw us. Well, we haven't taught them how to ask for attention. So from now on, when she comes up and jumps up on you or nudges you or licks you, tell her to sit. If she's already sitting, tell her to sit somewhere else, or tell her to lay down. Don't tell her to shake. And you're only going to tell her one time. If she does it, then you say your mark word nice, and then pet her here, 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 or here. Don't reach over her head. And then pet her as little as you want. If you tell her to sit and she doesn't sit, provided she knows how to sit, which is why Jacob needs to work on that with you guys. But provided she knows how to sit, if you tell her to sit, she doesn't sit, then you just go back to reading the paper, watching TV, or doing your art, or whatever you were doing. It's not vindictive. It's just like, hey, I moved on. If you won't do the sit, that's totally cool. I don't care. But I'm on to the next thing, and now she's the one who's missing out on that attention. That provides motivation. Eventually, she'll start sitting in front of you to prepay for the attention, which does make sure we recognize or reward that. Now, we should use the watchword of paycheck if we suspect someone's petting without a purpose. So, am I petting? And somebody comes in the room and sees that she's standing, they say, paycheck. I would stop petting, tell her to sit. If she sits, I pet her on say nice, pet her on the chin, say, I asked her to sit before you came in the room, and she stood up and she heard your footsteps. So thanks for reminding me. I do forget to pet without a purpose. So petting with a purpose is if you want to pet her or she's asking you to pet her. Celebrating is the flip side of that. Celebrating is being observant, and when she does the things that we want, we recognize and reward her. So every time she sits, you should say nice and pet her. Every time she looks at you, you say nice and pet her. Every time she lays down, nice and pet her, or give her a treat. Comes to you, goes to her dog bed, poops for sure. And so after a while, what we're going to do is she's going to identify what the things are that you like that get her attention. Right now, probably doing the wrong things is the best way to get your attention. I chew on the wood, I get your attention. I, pee in the wrong place, I get your attention. But when I come to you, you ignore that. You take that for granted. I lay down at your feet, you take that for granted. I sit down, you take that for granted. Well, if my goal is to get your attention, I don't care what attention I get. I'm going to do the things that get your immediate attention consistently, which is why we use a watchword of celebrate for this activity. So if somebody says celebrate to me and the dog is where that bag is and I'm not paying attention, and they say celebrate, I say nice, and I start petting the dog. I don't reach for a treat because I'm already too late. I'm not asking the person, I'm too late. I just say my marker word instinctively and pet the dog here, 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 here. And after a while, you want to become more mindful of it. And you see, let's say Finn's where the camera is, I'm kind of hanging out and I see her walking towards me. I'd say come, then she gets here and I pet her under her chin. I say marker word and when she gets here and then pet her under her chin. I'd also like the guardians here to make a list of the official command cues or the command words that they want the dog to use, because like a lot of humans, they're using a whole bunch of variants and that slows down the dog's learning process. So if the word is here and I say come here, then somebody says vocabulary to me, I'm like, thank you, here. And so it makes it easier by consolidating for the dog. But the more we pet and give attention for the things we want, the more the dog will offer those behaviors to get our attention as opposed to the things we don't want. Like I said, for the chewing, I think a lot of that is boredom and lack of options. So I think providing good options and getting her more exercise every couple of hours and being proactive. If something's going to happen, you're going to have a cleaning person come get her some exercise beforehand. She has problems with the cars. I would like to come back in about a month and work with her on some counter conditioning to get her comfortable with cars. Well, then she should probably be exercised before that. The Goldilocks amount of exercise, not too much, not too little. And after exercise, she always needs 10 minutes to recover before the next thing happens. Let me think, what else? I think that's about it. Is there anything else you want me to go over?
I don't think so.
I promise you're going to make mistakes. You're going to catch yourself petting when you weren't supposed to, and darn it, I did it wrong. Then ask for a sit. When she sits, mark and say it. And I also like you to probably go around the house, just grab a handful of treats, each one of you once a day, grab like 25 treats, walk in her room, and whatever the cue is, sit. If she sit, and you might have to manipulate her, lure her into a sit. Sit and lure her up. She butt sits around, nice, give her that treat, walk in the next room, do the same thing. We want her to just be like, my humans just grab a bunch of treats, they become a doggy slot machine. They just walk around the house. If I do what they want, I get a reward. That helps her learn what she's doing, learn what to do to get affection from you, gives her motivation, helps you practice your timing, as well as practice acting like a parental sort of leader, which is kind of the dynamic that we would like her to have, is looking to us like a child does to a young child does to a parent. All right. Would you like a bully stick? Yes, I know I woke you up. Come here. Well, this is my little buddy, Finn, and this is a bully stick for Finn, and this is Finn's roadmap to success. Remember, everything you do trains your dog, only sometimes you mean it.